Thank you, Dr. Tan, for the kind introduction. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee, Dr. Teguh, for inviting me to give a talk today. Okay, I think this is a very good opportunity where we can actually discuss a little bit more on the DNA role in crime investigation, because I think most of the time we have quite wrong perception how DNA contributes to crime scene investigation, and how can a suspect be related to the crime using DNA evidence. Because one thing that is important about DNA that you guys have to know, that DNA evidence can't actually stand on its own. It has to actually be supported by other physical evidence or alibi, so that the person that has been actually being as a suspect can be actually included in the crime. The most important thing when we do DNA analysis, our target is actually to exclude someone innocent, for us to exclude from the crime. So that is our main target. So setengah orang dia ada perception kalau ada DNA dekat crime scene, habislah, I'll be connected to that crime. No, it's not as that easy. You may be present at the crime scene. You may actually left some of biological evidence kat situ kan. Maybe you have pergi rumah tu, you minum air kat situ, and you leave your saliva stain dekat the glass, okay, 2 weeks ago, and the DNA is still there. It will be there for quite some time. So when the crime happened after 2 weeks, and then diorang datang and swap the glass, and happen to be your profile, okay, tiba-tiba you are being caught as a suspect. Because your profile, maybe because orang kata, oh, orang terakhir yang kita nampak ada kat situ is actually this person. Mungkin nampak muka macam you dan sebagainya. But on that day itself, when the crime was committed, you were actually somewhere outside, and you can prove through your immigration punya record saying that I'm no longer in Malaysia, so it's not possible for me to commit the crime. So that kind of evidence is very, very much stronger from the DNA evidence. So you will be definitely acquitted from the crime lah. Tak boleh charge dah. So that's why I said DNA is not the most important evidence. Okay. So before I start, okay, I would like to everybody to clear our head from the imagination of this series, television series, okay? Either it's Las Vegas, Miami, or New York, okay? They come out with the Las Vegas, and then suddenly they came out with all sorts of series, and this series have a very strong impact in forensic science in Malaysia. Not in Malaysia lah, when I talk to my friend dekat FBI pun, dia kata we are having problem. Because the public is having the perception of, oh, senangnya, hari ni dapat DNA, esok dah dapat tangkap orang. Siap, they can imagine what the person actually reconstruct the crime scene. It's not as that easy. And the instrument, some of the instrument memang betul, but most of the instrument is based on the Hollywood punya imagination. Okay, so it's even we have students in PPSK that actually join forensic science program because of CSI. Saya nak jadi macam CSI, okay? Which is in Malaysia, our current practice, the investigation officer is from PDRM, police. They are not scientists. They are not trained to actually go into the lab. They just go to the crime scene, collect all the evidence, and they will pass it to Jabatan Kimia. Jabatan Kimia is the only place in Malaysia that can actually process the crime sample. So our scientists that yang kita graduate kan daripada forensic science program will be sitting in the lab. They cannot go to the crime scene. Okay, it is totally different scenario. So kadang-kadang I kesian lah to the student when they were actually setengah student tu they are actually for flat. Tapi tak nak join Medi or sebab dia nak jadi forensic science punya officer macam dalam CSI lah. Dia ingat dia boleh pegang pistol dan sebagainya. Cool lah kan? So, it's not true. It's not true. And for the next 30 minutes, mungkin juga I will actually give some example using quite high profile case in Malaysia. But I have actually tak ada teori conspiracy. I'm not actually registered to any political party. So I have no political interest. Alright, sebab I will actually eventually use quite high profile to make the story more interesting. Okay, before we start, I understand that kat dalam ni pun ada banyak medical doctors, and also we have some public daripada sini. So for the sake of to make people understand what is DNA and where is DNA kept in our body, Okay, so basically we have two types of cell. Two types of DNA. We have the nuclear DNA as well as the mitochondrial DNA. Both has significant role in forensic DNA analysis. And the nuclear DNA is of course dalam kita punya nucleus, and the other one mitochondrial DNA in the mitochondrial organelle. Where this organelle is very important in producing energy for our body. Okay, without mitochondria we won't have ATP and we won't have energy to actually do all the body punya process lah, all the cell process. Okay, what is forensic DNA marker? Alright, kita ada boleh terbahagi kepada dua juga. First, we have the nuclear DNA marker. Before I explain further about marker, what is actually marker? Marker adalah, or in bahasa Malaysia penanda, is part of the DNA, okay, yang kita gunakan for individualization. Because we cannot use the whole DNA. The reason because DNA ni sangat besar dan sangat panjang. Okay, so we targeted different parts of DNA, then we pull it together and we use it for individualization. Contohnya macam kat dalam bilik ni, as simple as if I ask my student to come in DK8 and please call a lady with wearing tudung. That is one marker. Wearing tudung, and dia akan datang, dia akan tengok lebih kurang 20 orang pakai tudung. Kat sana pun ada yang pakai tudung. Yang tak pakai tudung kita adalah Dr. Gan, Dr. Nima excluded lah. So penanda pertama adalah wanita bertudung. So dia tak boleh nak individualize lagi. Okay, then I have to put another penanda, another marker. Okay, wanita bertudung yang berwarna merah. Okay, tudung berwarna merah, that is the second penanda, which is red in colour. So bila penanda warna merah, kita dah boleh narrow down the search. Okay, ada dua sahaja yang dekat sini warna merah, yang kat ujung sana merah jugalah. Okay, 3. Yang belakang tu pink. So daripada 20 orang, now dah jadi 3. So I increase one more marker. Okay, pakai tudung berwarna merah dan pakai cermin mata berwarna bingkai berwarna hitam. Okay, alright. So based on that one, so pakai cermin mata another penanda dan bingkainya berwarna hitam. So we have 4 penanda now. Alright, so she can, or my student can easily identify is the lady down there. So that is what we call markers lah. So we use a lot of marker to increase the power of discrimination for us to enable individualization. Alright, so with this STR marker or shock tandem repeat, kita ada 2, which is one is on the autosomal STR, autosomal DNA. Kita ada 20 set of chromosome dalam satu nukleus. Okay, 22 adalah autosomal. Alright, hanya satu sahaja yang code for the sex. And even for the sex chromosome, on the Y, we have YSTR. So, kenapa kita ada banyak? I will explain later what is actually the application. What is the importance of these different penanda. And the next one is mitochondrial DNA. Okay, this special DNA is actually higher in number compared to nuclear DNA. Remember just now I said kita ada nucleus. Dalam nucleus ada satu set chromosome of 23 chromosome, but in one cell we have a lot of organelles. Mitochondrial organelle ada banyak. So in that organelle, sometimes we have more than one copy of mitochondrial DNA. So in cases macam mass disaster ataupun kes-kes yang kita jumpa macam Kenny Ong, tulang dia Kenny Ong not too bad. Sosilawati, arwah Sosilawati, tulang dia memang sangat teruk terbakar. And it has been broken into pieces lah, kecil-kecil dan dibakar pada suhu yang sangat tinggi dan dibuang dalam sungai yang mengandungi banyak tulang orang lain. Okay, so that area happen to be tempat pembuangan tulang selepas pembakaran. Kat situ kawasan estate kan. Jadi kebanyakan orang India yang tinggal di situ, after dia orang meninggal, dia akan dibakar dan tulangnya akan dibuang di situ. So apabila polis selam dekat situ, okay, pegawai sains tak pergi selam pegawai sains tunggu dalam lab. Tunggu tulang. Okay, so bila polis pergi selam kat situ, dia orang jumpa beribu-ribu, 1,000 pieces of bones. Okay, and bones tu bila diangkat keluar, when they bring into the lab, when they call me in, I said, oh, this is not possible for nuclear DNA. We try but tak dapat lah. Okay, we couldn't get a complete profile. So bila tak dapat complete profile, we cannot do matching dengan dia punya waris. So what we have to do is we use mitochondrial DNA. Why mitochondrial DNA? Because higher number, dan yang kedua kerana bentuk dia bulat. It's a circular form, so dia lagi resistant kepada degradation, kepada harsh environment, kepada aktiviti bakteria, aktiviti nukleus dan sebagainya. Kalau nuclear DNA, dia bentuk dia linear. Jadi hujung dia tu terbuka dan lebih mudah untuk dimusnahkan oleh aktiviti enzim. Alright? Okay, how do we inherit our DNA? As simple as we get 50% from our mom, we get 50% from our dad. So bila kita doa, kita kena doa lah kepada kedua ibu bapa. Because sebab memang kita mewarisi nak tak nak, macam mana benci pun you kepada ibu atau kepada ayah you have to actually accept the fact that 50% of you is from your dad, 50% from you is from your mom. Okay? So both has equal rights on you lah. Okay? So actually sebelum diwariskan juga DNA atau kromosom tersebut akan melakukan sedikit pertukaran maklumat genetik antara satu sama lain. Sebab tu you akan nampak biru campur merah dan merah campur dengan pink campur hijau. That's why kita tak akan jadi sebiji macam mak dengan ayah kita, and kita tak akan jadi exactly the same with our sibling juga because of this pindah silang. Right? Okay, mitochondrial DNA is a little bit interesting, di mana we only inherit this from our mother. Okay, the reason why, because sperm, okay, dia ada bahagian kepala dan juga bahagian ekor, and the mitochondrial DNA, mitochondrial organelle is actually dekat kawasan ekor. Why? Because yang bergerak adalah ekor dia. So it needs a lot of energy to move in order for it to swim to the ovum, kan? So mitochondria dekat situ, so only the head of the sperm will enter ovum, akan masuk dalam sel telur wanita, sel telur, dan disebabkan oleh tu kita kehilangan mitochondria daripada bapa. Adalah akan terlepas sedikit dalam sel telur, tapi sistem dalam ovum itu sendiri dia akan memusnahkan mitochondria daripada sel bapa, alright, daripada sperm. So bila terjadinya anak akan hanya mewarisi daripada ibu, dan oleh yang demikian we are all related if we come from the same grandmother. So sepupu you from the same auntie, okay, from the same grandmother, semua akan mempunyai mitochondrial DNA yang sama. And because of this reason also, it is not that good to be used in crime scene investigation. Sebab kalau katalah kejadian tu dilakukan beramai-ramai, cousin pakat-pakat, okay, let us go and rape this girl. Okay, so we cannot identify which person based on mitochondrial DNA because they are all the same, cousin from the same mother. Okay, dan di sebaliknya for Y chromosome pula, okay, Y chromosome only being passed from father to son. So father will not inherit dia punya Y chromosome to the daughter. Sebab tu lelaki dia kecoh lah kalau tak ada anak lelaki. For him, without anak lelaki, the generation is gone. Sebab because of this reason, because of the Y chromosome. Right? So this Y chromosome is also important in crime scene investigation, especially in rape cases lah. Because the reason why, bila kita buat swab, vagina swab, okay, dalam rape cases, we will pick up a lot of cell from the victims. Sebab vagina kan. So if the rape dah berlaku 2-3 hari yang lalu, makin kurang lagi sperm daripada pelaku tersebut, whatever lah, okay, dalam vagina. So when we have a very high background of the female punya DNA, sometimes it will suppress the male punya DNA. Alright, so when we use Y chromosome, because the female does not have Y, so what happen, the kit ataupun the primer yang kita guna tu will only pick up the male DNA. No matter how little it is, dia boleh pick up. Okay, and you only need about 10 cell dalam 10 cell to perform STR analysis, because the technology that we have today is very sensitive. So you can actually get DNA from handshake. So jangan suka-suka pergi salam orang. Okay, you can leave your traces from envelopes. You jilat or you lick the envelope or you lick the stamp, so guna air, sebab tu kat post office dia letak air kat situ. Okay, and then also from sweat. Okay, cigarette butts, from can drink, you minum tak pakai straw, you minum macam tu je. So from where your lip touch kat situ, so we can swap from there, you can still got profile. So be careful lah, so don't litter, jangan buang sampah merata-rata, because it can be actually traced back to you. Sampah siapa ni Until that technology ada, we won't have sampah dekat tepi jalan. Alright, okay. Just now I dah explain about DNA markers. One important thing that you have to know, DNA adalah identical hanya untuk identical twins sahaja. Okay, the rest between you and your sisters, between kembar yang tak seiras, semua adalah berbeza. So untuk identical twin, kalau jika berlaku jenayah yang melibatkan identical twin, it will be very difficult. Especially kalau kes melibatkan kes rogol dan sebagainya, because kalau tak ada alibi lain, because the victim akan recognize ikut muka. Muka pun sama. Okay, DNA pun sama. The only thing that will be different is fingerprint. Fingerprint akan berbeza. But most of the cases, ada satu kes dekat Pulau Pinang, tak silap saya, ada kembar seiras, kembar identical twin, commit a murder. So he was acquitted lah, tak boleh nak charge. Even though ada bukti DNA. Because of the difficulty lah. Because the pegawai IO atau investigation officer dan pegawai pendakwa tidak dapat membuktikan to actually give any beyond reasonable doubt lah. So they cannot charge them. Alright, apa yang lagi saya tak cover untuk sini? Okay, for the goal, autosomal STR is always the gold standard for any criminal cases. So if we receive a case, a sample, we will always start with autosomal STR. Only if autosomal STR fail, baru kita akan opt for YSTR. Okay, contoh macam saya cakap tadi, terlalu banyak DNA from female. And then if fail juga, then we will opt for mitochondrial DNA. There's a case di mana ada seorang ni, husband dia hantar dia pergi kerja, and then after that husband dia hilang selama sebulan. Dia ingat husband dia ikut perempuan lain. But it's actually happen to be the husband fall into jatuh dalam gaung on the way back home. 1 month after that, barulah dia orang jumpa kereta tapi body tak ada. But about few hundred meters from there, they found the body. The body, he was recognized based on dia punya kain pelikat. Dia pakai kain sarung je. Sebab nak hantar wife pergi kerja dan dia patah balik. Okay, and dia pakai t-shirt. Tapi kain sarung dia, the wife recognize him based on that. Dan tulang dia ditemui oleh orang asli lah. Yang lalu kat situ, dia reported to the police officer. And kita pergi buat collection dan sebagainya. When we come back, that tulang is not good anymore for nuclear DNA. Because of keadaan waktu tu is a humid place, hujan dan sebagainya. So nuclear DNA, we couldn't get a good profile. So we opted for mitochondrial DNA. So from mitochondrial DNA, that means when we use mitochondrial DNA, sebab dia lelaki, we cannot match to dia punya sibling, dia punya child anymore. It doesn't match because dia lelaki kan, he doesn't pass his mitochondrial DNA. So what they do, they have to match using the mother punya profile atau adik-beradik perempuan dia yang lain. So based on that, he was identified lah. Okay, 1 month after that. Tapi sebab tu wife dia kata tak mungkin sebab husband saya baru hilang sebulan. Takkan jasad dia dah macam ni kan. But sometimes it happen when dia di tempat yang terbuka. Hanya tulang saja yang tinggal. Okay, so this is STR marker. So what is STR? STR is actually a short repeat dalam DNA you. Okay, a short repeat yang diulang berbanyak-banyak kali. Contohnya macam ni, GAT. Okay, setengah orang akan ada 7 kali repeat, 7 repeats. So 7 repeat we will call as allele 7. Kalau you ada 8 repeat, kita akan panggil you allele 8. Untuk setiap orang yang normal, yang mempunyai sepasang kromosom 2, contohnya, dia akan mempunyai 2 allele untuk satu penanda itu, satu locus tu. Okay, sebab you sekarang ni kita tak guna semua 22 kromosom. At the moment in the market, kita ada paling tinggi adalah 15 STR. Okay, kenapa kita tak buat sampai berpuluh-puluh STR? The reason because 13 STR yang digunakan oleh FBI, okay, dia punya matching probability dah 1 dalam a trillion population. So in this world population, kita belum reach trillion lagi. Okay, so 13 loci is enough for individualization. But now in the market, we have 15 STR plus 1, dia panggil amylogenin, which is sex marker. So untuk menentukan sama ada sample from female or from male. Alright, so this is the reason. So dulu dia start dengan 3 STR, 4 STR, 6 STR. Now we have 15 STR. Kalau kita ingat, ini yang kes-kes yang saya takut nak sebut tapi saya terpaksa sebutlah. Okay, kes Anwar Ibrahim yang pertama berlaku pada tahun 1997. Kalau tak silap saya. 97, 98 macam itulah. Okay, dan masa keadaan tersebut kita belum ada 15 STR. Okay, masa tu mungkin kita ada saya 8 kot, 8 STR. Dan apabila kes disebut, ada kes baru kes baru pada tahun 2008, kita punya teknologi masa tu adalah menggunakan 15 STR. So that is why we have to request a new sample from suspect in order for us to run on 15 STR. Because if we use the data that we kept in 1997, we cannot match the 8 STR with the current crime scene sample yang kita gunakan 15 STR. So we need fresh sample to match that crime scene sample with the current suspect punya sample. That is why we have to request again. Okay, not that kita masa tu what I was trying to actually explain kepada orang yang terlibat tu, I only need 1 or 2 drops of blood. What we will use a simple cut called FTA cut, di mana when the blood is actually drop onto the cut, the cell will lyse. And automatically the cut will capture the DNA, and the DNA cannot be transferred anywhere else. Kat mana-mana dah. It will be there forever. Okay, and that cut can be kept at about 15 years dalam room temperature. Tapi in 1997, teknologi ni tak ada lagi. Okay, saya pun belum pergi buat PhD masa tu. Dah ke? Belum. Alright, so that's why we need that. The worry is dia takut orang ambil dia punya blood specimen, extract the DNA and tamper it everywhere. So we have to make people to understand that it's not that easy lah. Kalau kita guna teknologi sekarang, tak macam dulu lagi dah. Okay, tak semudah itulah. Okay, so what we are using now, 15 STR is very good. So maknanya more than 1 trillion, saying that if you don't have any identical twin, you tak ada identical twin, your profile is unique until we have another trillion population yang mungkin you akan jumpa your profile, that someone with similar profile like what you have. Okay, so it's very, very unique. Alright, so how can DNA help in CSI? Not only in crime scene investigation, DNA also sangat berguna in mass disaster macam dalam tsunami, when you can only find parts of the body, you jumpa tangan, you jumpa kaki, you jumpa liver. How can you actually identify those without proper physical identification? So it's where DNA can help. Plane crash, saya pernah terlibat with actually one case. This plane actually crashed during World War II. Okay, tapi at that time the area is very dangerous, banyak communists, so people cannot access the area. So even the rescue team managed to access the area after few days, after 9 days macam tu. So they were in a rush, so dia just ke bumi je mana yang sempat. So in 1970s, the family start asking to bring back the body home because ini melibatkan British Army. Dan adalah rakyat Malaysia ada 3 orang, pegawai polis, pegawai pejabat tanah dekat Kota Baru dan juga seorang orang asli. So the family wants the body back lah. So we have to go back until this case was postponed. Until in 2008, they cannot postpone it anymore. So they call a team. So I lead a team from USM. Masuk dekat hutan dalam Gua Musang. So we managed to find the area where actually tempat itu dikebumikan. Even the area pun berlainan daripada tempat yang kita GPS yang koordinat yang diberikan, because they actually make a dummy punya kubur because they want to actually, dia tak nak kubur tu dikorek oleh komunis dan sebagainya. So that area was actually quite far apart from the area that they put in the coordinate report lah. Okay, so we managed to get the bones, and from there we managed to identify the tulang that belongs to the police officer, the Malay police officer. So we give back to the family, and they managed to do proper burial lah. For all the British Army, they put in the they panggil Commonwealth punya cemetery dekat Jalan Ceras kat KL. So managed to settle the case with the help of mitochondrial DNA after about 58 years after the crash. So the power of DNA ni dia the good thing, it lasts quite some time. Okay? And then kalau untuk from crime scene, will be much easier if you have a suspect where you get a crime scene macam saya cakap tadi. Contohnya macam case, kalau ada yang masih ingat, adik-adik mungkin tak ingat lah, but for my batch we remember a case where this officer being killed, rape and kill, Norita. Nak ingat tak case Norita? The case started in 2003 ke 2001, something like that, tapi dia settle about 5 years later. Okay, the reason why they managed to get the DNA, okay, from that match to the suspect, Hanif Basri. Okay, but that orang kata apa, bukti sahaja tidak cukup, as I said just now, because they also managed to find unidentified DNA from an unidentified man. Okay, and also roommate dia atau housemate dia managed to actually capture a male actually cuba lari daripada rumah with a strong body odor. Busuk. Dia kata lelaki yang berbau busuk, but malam tu gelap, it's about 4 AM, she cannot identify who he is, but she can definitely say it's not Hanif Basri, because Hanif Basri adalah boyfriend kepada si mati, dan she can actually recognize him easily. From his physical, he's a very tall man and he doesn't has that body odor. So because of the statement is very consistent from her housemate and also from the unidentified DNA from other unknown male, so Hanif Basri mesti dilepas dan dibebaskan. So dilepas dan dibebaskan maksudnya dia tak akan dipanggil semula dah lah. Okay, so maknanya he is memang dikeluarkan daripada kes tersebut sehinggalah that unidentified man itu kita temui. Dan kita mengharapkan with now we have been developing the DNA database for crime sample since 2008 kot, tak silap saya. We have got the bill, akta tu telah diluluskan oleh parlimen, dan since then kita start collecting all the DNA sample from convicted offenders. Dia ada lebih kurang 8 index dalam tu, termasuk volunteers lah. You can be convicted offenders, detainee, tahanan reman, ataupun drug related person, you can crime scene sample, so many lah. Dia ada banyak index dalam tu, group dia. Tetapi kecuali traffic lah. Okay, kalau you kena tangkap speed trap, janganlah pula okay I want to surrender my DNA, tak payah. Traffic offences kat Malaysia you don't have to surrender your DNA. Tapi kat US kena. Kalau dia kata you have been driving macam dalam keadaan berbahaya, you are caught mabuk dan sebagainya, dia kena surrender. Sebab dalam US punya traffic pun masuk, kita tak. Alright, so what happened if we have this DNA database and we have been collecting this database thoroughly kan, so most of the suspect dia ada, most of the orang yang pernah buat jenayah, dia ada tendency to buat jenayah berulang. Repeated lah, ni orang kriminologi pandai lah, psikologi. So macam juga kes adik Nurin Jazlin, kalau ingat, okay, very sad case, okay, orang doktor yang kawan saya yang buat postmortem tu pun tak sanggup nak menceritakan keadaan jenazah tersebut lah, where diorang jumpa timun dalam dia punya badan, terung yang dah busuk dan sebagainya. She was actually assaulted badly kan. So they managed to find the DNA from the bag yang mengandungi jenazah. Okay, they managed to find the DNA from where the suspect pegang bag tu. But the CCTV tu tak berapa bagus, they don't manage to nampak muka dia macam mana. But the DNA tak boleh jumpa suspect. So selagi tak ada suspect yang match dengan DNA tu, kita tak boleh buat apa. But we hope that when we keep on building the DNA database, one day that person will be catch lah. Because kalau dia buat macam shoplifting ke, dia kena tangkap, dia kena reman dan sebagainya, dia kena surrender dia punya DNA. Even kalau dia terlibat dengan kes rape yang lain dan sebagainya pun, dia akan harus memberi dia punya sampel untuk dimasukkan dalam database. Dan database ni dikawal oleh makmal forensik kita di Ceras, dan diorang akan run all the cold cases. Ini adalah cases yang kita tak akan tutup. Okay, macam Norita punya sampel dan sebagainya, bila ada orang akan run sehingga dia orang akan jumpa match. Okay, jangan ingat kita dah terlepas, dia akan tutup dan sebagainya. No, you can be charged for a murder that you committed 50 years ago with this database. Ada kes dekat US di mana anak dia buat kesalahan traffic, Okay, so the anak has been caught and ambil DNA, put in the database. So they put using the YSTR. So when they run a cold case 30 years ago where the father actually raped and murdered a girl 18 years old, okay, so when they run, they got a match with the son. Tapi tak mungkin lah because the crime was committed 5 years before the son was born. So using the YSTR, they managed to catch the father. Alright, so that is the power of DNA database. That's why bila kita nak start buat DNA database, banyak yang pihak-pihak yang tak faham trying to actually object. Kita nak manipulate lah, nak salah guna dan sebagainya. And again, when the first bill was called, was actually being bentangkan di Parlimen. How many minutes do I have left? 5 minutes, okay? Bila DNA ni dibentangkan, this bill dibentangkan, kebetulan masa tu terjadi kes kedua yang melibatkan Anwar Ibrahim. And I was being called, diganggulah oleh pihak media, apa komen doktor, adakah ini bertujuan untuk memerangkap pihak-pihak tertentu, dia tak sebut lah kan. But I have to say, this database telah kita usahakan before I started my PhD in 2000. When I came back, I started to train the police officer for many years because this officer must be trained thoroughly for them to get certificate. Then only they can handle human sample. Then only they can start the accreditation process. Then only they can start doing the database work. It's not an easy work. It's not a 1 day or 1 month yang kita boleh kata, oh because kita nak perangkap orang ni, kita nak buat DNA database. No such thing. We have been doing that a long way to go. So I really wanted this DNA database to actually run because there are a lot of cases that we can settle if we have this DNA database. Kita boleh exclude orang yang tidak bersalah, kita boleh tangkap orang-orang yang buat jenayah, all these jenayah-jenayah yang kita tak sanggup biarkan dalam masyarakat kita lah. Anak-anak kita pun kita takut, yang kita sendiri pun mungkin menjadi mangsa. So it's very important for us to build this database. Okay, so what type of sample? Everything from your body can be used. Your DNA daripada hujung rambut sampai hujung kaki will be the same. So anything that you left at the crime scene can be used as an evidence against you. So, tu yang you kena ingat lah. Okay, saya ada 5 minit. Saya akan terang sikit pasal paternity testing. Why this is one of the testing that being handled by USM. Okay, the only university in Malaysia ada paternity testing. Dan juga the only lab in Malaysia other than Jabatan Kimia that have accreditation to do paternity testing. This is very important because dekat Kelantan sendiri banyak kes-kes yang melibatkan immigration where dia kahwin dengan orang Siam, lepas tu dia nak bawa anak dia masuk, dia kena buktikan that this is my child. The only way sekarang ni, dulu dia tengok muka tak jadi dah because sometimes you can happen to look like Leonardo DiCaprio tapi you anak kepada Prof Ravi. Can happen. Alright, so physical evidence dah tak boleh. So immigration will ask that person to do some DNA testing lah. And because we want to actually help the public, ours is a bit cheaper from Jabatan Kimia pun. Ours is cheaper and faster lah. Jabatan Kimia, you maybe need about 1 month to wait. So what happened just now, I kata 50% from your DNA is from your mommy and 50% from your daddy. And from that, you will have different profile. Even child 1, 2, 3 and 4 will have different combination of allele. Alright, dan daripada situ kita boleh buat matching. Okay, have to be fast Okay, contohnya untuk this penanda, nama dia D5S818. Okay, itu nama dia lah, tak payah saya jelaskan. Untuk kromosom daripada paternal, dia membawa allele number 7. Dia ada 7 repeat of AGAT. So, dia allele 7. Daripada maternal, dia ada 9 repeat of AGAT. So, dia dipanggil sebagai allele 9. So, apabila kita gunakan 15 locus yang macam ni, dia akan dapat this type of combination. So combination ni lah yang saya katakan tidak mungkin to be repeated in other individual. We use numbers. So data yang kat dalam database adalah number macam ni lah. This is how it looks. Kalau XY menunjukkan dia lelaki, kalau XX menunjukkan that sample perempuan. So this particular case, this Mr. Chong lah, I just letak nama. Okay, dia kahwin dengan, tak silap saya, somebody from Philippines and he wants to bring dia punya anak masuk lah. So immigration, buat testing. So we managed to actually, salah satu allele yang ada pada bapa dia, mesti ada pada anak dia. 50% saja, tak payah dua-dua. Sebab one is actually from the mother. So in this case, kalau you tengok CSF 10 daripada bapa. 12 yang ada, 11 yang pada anak, mesti daripada mak dia. Okay, so it goes down the list lah. Macam tu. Sekiranya tak matching, dia akan jadi macam ni. Okay, kalau alel yang DS 1338, okay, 2020 adalah father, tapi tiba-tiba anak dia 2324. So that means 2324, either one does not come from the father. So it has be more than 2 locus, 2 penanda yang mesti berbeza, then only kita boleh buat exclusion. In this case, the baby is being brought by dia punya grandmother, okay, because parents dah bergaduh nak bercerai, because the father accused that dia punya wife ada affair dengan orang lain. Happen to be the husband looks very Chinese look, and anak dia looks very Prof Ravi look, okay, very Hindustani look, and that boy that being accused, sorry to use less, since you are very close, okay, no, because that the guy that being accused look very Hindustani, very handsome guy. He came with the baby, with the grandmother of that baby. So when I look at him, when I look at the baby, definitely I say, oh, anak engkau lah. This is definitely your child. Because the father doesn't look very, very different. Ini because both are artists. That's why I kenal. I know the father, I know the mother. Okay, both are artists lah. So bila dia datang kat kita and we did the testing, I run the first time, negative. I was like, okay, negative. 4 locus yang berbeza. I said just now 2 kan? Minimum 2. Kalau 2 tu kita masih anggap mutation, kita akan kira buat statistical calculation. Kita tengok how the calculation will come out. Usually it has to be 99.98 lah. Okay, 98, 99, usually 99 lah. Okay, but in this case more than 2, so I run lagi sekali. I tak percaya. Just now I said physical kan, kita being very, very, dipengaruhi dengan physical look. Kan. Kadang orang tua-tua kata masa mengandung, jangan duduk, jangan bagi orang lalu belakang, nanti anak terkenan. So kalau yang lalu belakang tu Prof Ravi, anak saya nanti keluar macam muka Prof Ravi. Okay. So in this case, I did it 3 times for me to sure. Not sure ni, this is actually involving people punya marriage. Okay, so when I presented this to the husband and to the grandmother, the boy mestilah relief. That boy Kelantanese boy, very young boy. I don't know macam mana dia boleh involve in this relationship lah dengan artis ni. So happen to be, memang dia kata, okay lah kalau bukan anak lelaki tu, so they get back together. They get back together, alhamdulillah, and the child dah grow, but recently wife dia dah meninggal. She had an accident, so the wife dah meninggal. So this is one of the quite interesting case. And the last one, boleh 2 minit lagi. Okay, this is a very sad case lah, di mana this guy actually, dia tak ada anak lelaki. So he married, ada second wife. So the first son dengan second wife, anak pertama lelaki. Very cute boy. Even the first wife pun really loves this boy because that's the only boy in the family. So that boy, the first wife yang take care because dia tak ada anak lelaki. The second wife kerja kan. So satu hari the husband got a call, a phone call saying that actually anak kau yang sulung bukan anak kau, is my son with my ex-girlfriend. So when she marry you, actually she already carrying my baby. So dia kahwin you untuk you jadi pak sanggup because at that time I'm not ready to marry her. But now I want her back. Macam tu je, boleh call. And then after that, that man tak senang duduk lah. And then he came and asked me, is it possible? Dia nak buat, dia dah ada 2 anak dengan wife tu. Okay, yes, possible. But you have to actually get ready with whatever the result is. So they come to me with the second wife tak datang. The first wife datang. And then they bring those 2 children. The first one is about 5 years old. Anak yang kecil tu dalam 2 tahun lebih, perempuan. So bila buat DNA testing, 6 locus tak sama. It was really heartbreaking to me jugalah. When I actually give the result to the husband tu menangis, the first wife menangis lagi terus. Because what happened, they have actually agreed, betul if the first child does not belong to me, I will ceraikan my second wife. So they got divorced and the first wife dah tahu dah, that children will be taken away from her lah. Dia ada anak sendiri, she got about 5 kids lah, tapi semua perempuan. So sampai hari ni memang hilang lah anak-anak tu. The second wife ambil balik, bawa lari merata-rata, they try to find it pun tak boleh, dia macam keep on pindah sekolah dan sebagainya, and she eventually married to her ex-boyfriend lah. So this is very sad. I tengok a very strong man suddenly broke down and cried in front of me. Saya pun sama-sama lah menangis. This is the thing that when you actually, bila you kerja dengan public, we want to show our sympathy, tapi kadang hati perempuan kan, sama-sama lah. Alright, so I think that's all from me. Thank you very much. I hope I've give you some ideas about how we can use DNA in crime scene investigation. Thank you very much.